We'll see. I don't know that my Varia set up here. Can you see it? I don't know that the Varia setup's going to work. Bike is set up for multi-day, which doesn't leave anywhere to mount a Varia, so I'm trying it on the back of the helmet. I do have something important I'm wanting to talk about some today, but the real focus for today is a shakeout ride on what's almost all a new setup for me. It's all old stuff from our house, but set up in a way I've never done before. But I may be trying something special with it. But we're doing a shakedown ride. See what maybe doesn't work. What I really want to touch on before I get too deep into the ride, and this ride is a good example of what I'm talking about. Lots of birds with one stone. Not lots of stones. Lots of birds we're trying to take care of on this ride. One stone, one ride. So here's something super important. And I know some people think I'm being elitist with this, being a gatekeeper with this, being a bike snob with this. That is not the case. It is a regular topic of conversation that I do try to give my advice, give my experience around for folks. And from my perspective, again, not being elitist, not being gatekeeping, there's something super fundamental you want to kind of have as your baseline before you start going out and doing gravel events. This is my take on it. Super simplistic, but it's a nice line in the sand. And I'm not talking about it just from a ministry events perspective, but generally speaking, if you're looking to go do your first gravel event, what you need to be capable of before you even show up there, you need to be able to ride for 3 hours at a time, uninterrupted, and know how to take everything with you to ride for 3 hours uninterrupted. You don't have to be fast, but you have to be fit enough for that, and you have to have the experience to pack your bike to be able to do that. Know what your hydration and nutrition schedule needs to be for 3 hours continuous. Don't sign up for a gravel event to learn how to ride gravel. You need to know how to ride gravel before you sign up for a gravel event. Or schedule that gravel event sometime in the future and use the time in between to learn how to do everything. So, and I'm not throwing this out there with, hey, here's what you do, and leave you hanging. We're not going to cover it all in this video, but this is a setup for a not too far down the road video that we'll definitely go more in depth on. We'll touch on some of the generalities here. If things work out, I'm going to try to do a 3-hour ride today at my endurance pace with everything on the bike I need to do that. Oh no, they've got us closed here. What the hell? Looks like we're going to have to get creative, folks. That's okay. We've got it on video. Well, that's a shame. Hopefully that's fixed by Sunday, because we've got a group ride doing this. But hey, if we have to go the alternate route, we will. So hey, there's rule number 1. You got to know how to deal with the unexpected. You can sign up for a gravel event, and they can have marked course and all the GPS files in the world. And maybe they had a very specific route in mind for the past 9 months, and they've checked on it every day since then, and everything's perfect. But if a hurricane blew through the area a couple days before, or tornado, or all of a sudden State Department of Transportation decides they're going to replace that bridge in the middle of nowhere that connects all the main legs of the route, that can pop up on event day, and it has. If you're not able to adjust on the fly yourself, you might put yourself in a panic situation. Super, super basic. Before you sign up for your first gravel event, or before you do your first gravel event, have the experience and skill set to ride your bike for 3 hours at a time, uninterrupted. That means having the fitness, even if it's at 10 miles an hour. 10 miles an hour, 3 hours, that's 30 miles. Oh, you want to sign up for a 100-mile event, but you've never even gone 30 miles yet? Sign up for a 30-mile event first, then a 50-mile event, then a 75-mile event. Don't just jump out there and do 100 miles if you have no true comprehension of what you're getting yourself into. Rider back. Rider back. Hello. Rider back. Rider back. Hi there. Rider back. What a dipshit. Well, this is a really good test of what the bike's about. See what our gearing's like. Okay, we're geared down. See what the tires are like. Oh. Hey, we made it. I think I used to go through up there. It's been a while since I've been on this stretch, but it looks like there's new trail, for lack of a better term. So yeah, this is adventure mode. Yay! So my goal today is to ride somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 hours. It might end up being a 2-hour day. We'll see. But basically at my endurance heart rate. And that's what your goal should be, is to figure out what your endurance heart rate is and figure out what it takes for you to ride for 3 hours at that. Once you build up that skill set, then you can take it you can build your skills a couple different ways. You can opt to try to get faster and cover more miles in that 3 hours, let's say. Or you can opt to try to go further and start riding for 4 hours at a time, 5 hours at a time, 6 hours at a time. And that's completely a personal preference thing. So we are at the Fort Worth Trinity Trails. If you're unfamiliar with this spot, fantastic riding. A great way to get an urban adventure under your belt. Coming left. Helmet just came in handy. We'll see if that shows up on video. Acorn just hit me in the head. Funny. So far, pretty happy with the bike. Saddle may be a touch low. I can adjust that in a bit. Bars are narrower than I'm used to. What I'm gonna, off the top of my head, say I prefer. But sometimes a preference is just habit. It's just what you're used to. It could be after a few hours on the narrower bars, I might go, you know what, I kind of like those. All right, so here's some dirt. See if this goes through anywhere. This is fun. Long, hard, and dirty, right? Yeah. As many times as I've been through here, I have never seen this duck pond before. I like finding new stuff. So again, so many birds with one stone. We're trying out the Varia on the helmet. Actually, so far it's worked. I do feel the weight of it though, so I'm concerned that after an hour or two, it's going to make my neck muscles tired. Let's see what we run into. Part of the birdstone is I'm trying out my nutrition. This is the thing that's going to be from my big ride I have planned for next week. I'm testing some stuff out to check viability, but until we actually do it in the ride, we're not going to know if it's a pass or a fail situation with what I have in mind. Trust me, there are things I can do that I know would work for what I have in mind next week, but for other stuff we'll talk about later, I need to work on some new strategies for different things. Morning.
Morning.
So basically for nutrition, for calories, the reality is my effort next weekend is going to be the real test of it. And that's a test for how I do things in the future. Definitely going to raise the saddle a touch, but it's okay-ish for now. I'm doing better with the bars than I expected. I'm definitely still concerned about the Varia on the helmet though. But man, it would be so... I'm so used to having that Varia going. I really wouldn't want to be doing a long ride with traffic around me without it. Beginner means beginner gravel rider, not a beginner cyclist. So gravel events are typically endurance events. So the expectation is, generally speaking, that riders are already experienced riders. Coming from road or mountain bike or whatever else, triathlon. They're just beginner to gravel, they're new to gravel. So kind of the expectation from the events themselves, the promoters, are that the riders already have the fitness, the basic skill set to change a tire and do trailside maintenance for the common stuff. And have everything they need to do it and know how to do it. So my suggestion is, if you're not at that level yet, and where I'm riding and talking about this subject, it's not coincidental. This is a great environment. Stuff like this is available in almost every major metro area, a lot of suburban areas as well. Coming left. Use environments like this to build your fitness and skill set so that you're ready and capable of taking on that first gravel event with a level of confidence. that you really need. You don't want to be scared of your first gravel event, but you don't want to get in the middle of it and have no idea what you're in the middle of. I'm okay with these narrow bars so far. Not arguing. I thought I was going to dislike. And it's possible this saddle slid down some. Maybe I didn't snug it up enough. We'll check that. I think that might be what's going on. I think it did slip down some. See, have the tools handy you need. Always handy. Know where they're going to be. So this is going to be a little bit different because this saddlebag back here is new. Again, shakedown ride. It's not a carbon frame, so we can cinch her down. Well, as far as the Varia working as a sensor, the radar perspective, that's working on the helmet mount. Whether it's going to work for an all-day ride and the additional weight at the back of the helmet, TBD. Yeah, I'm starting to feel the Varia in my neck already. We may have to pull that off of there. Actually, we'll do that at the next drink stop. There's no way that I'm going to be able to go 3 hours with that back there. That's a shame. We'll have to figure out something. Got a week sorted out. Right now we're at 2 hours and 45 minutes, 5 seconds short of that. Let me get up on the pavement so it's not all rattly and bumpy for y'all. You hear that? There's a squeak in here somewhere. Not sure what that is. That for the shakedown ride, so far that's the that's really the only issue. Kind of sounds like a jockey wheel, but I'm not sure if that is exactly what it is. Maybe. We'll take it to the duck and let Nico figure it out. But the ride itself, everything's going pretty good. We're right now at 28.2 miles. Average mile per hour 10.2. Yeah, I know, not blazing fast, but again, we're just trying to work on an endurance pace. And I've got more in me, starting to feel a touch tired. I'm thinking realistically about this 3 hour mark that we're coming up on, that would probably be a good time for a real break with a bit of solid food and keep going if I was looking to do a very long day. So we'll I think the nutrition plan is good for 6 hours. Well, let's not get ambitious there. It's solid for 3 hours. I'm confident we could pull 4 hours out with it. And that's what we'll find out next week. Next week we'll definitely be going 4 hours or more. And we'll see what we run into. Pretty happy with the bike, pretty happy with the fit. Everything except for that squeak right there. Everything's staying where it's supposed to. Nothing's brushing or coming loose or getting in the way. And whenever I've needed anything. The Varia, y'all were there. The helmet mount's not going to work for that. That's just too much weight on the helmet. I figured that would be the case. So we're going to have to come up with a creative alternate, or just not go with the Varia for this ride, this trip. We'll see. But let's go back to what the gist of this one's about. If you're going out to your first gravel event, don't expect the first gravel event to be what's going to teach you how to ride gravel. You need to know how to ride gravel going into the event. You want to be able to ride 3 hours almost continuously. You want to know what it takes nutrition-wise to pull that off. And realistically, you need to have some idea of what your capabilities are. And that's what I tell everyone is, even experienced gravel riders, most people want to be done in 3 to 4 hours, roughly. Some of us masochists like to do a 5 or 6 hour day. And just run the math on that. If at my endurance pace of just over 10 miles an hour, and that's total time, that includes my stops, you know, switching out the Varia and stuff like that, making adjustments to the saddle. If I've got a 4 hour time limit, I don't want to go any more than a 40-mile route. Realistically, gravel's a bit tougher. Usually. We got a little bit of a headwind today, but still, do a fudge factor and say 9 miles an hour would have been my average. So 35 miles, if 4 hours is my limit. If 5 hours is my limit, 45 or 50 miles, etc. Pick the route that matches your riding capability for the hours that you know you're able to do. Going to a gravel event isn't the place to find out what you're not able to do. Because you're assuming that the event's going to have resources to help you out, when much of the time, every gravel event's different, so nothing's universal on any of it. And just because you heard one gravel event did things one way, don't assume other gravel events do it that way as well. But assuming that there's going to be sweep vehicles that are coming by every 5 minutes, sag vehicles, aid stations every 10 miles, that's not a realistic expectation for most gravel events. There's some out there that do that. But generally speaking, gravel riders are endurance riders, and it's generally speaking self-supported, and you have to be able to take care of yourself. If you show up at a gravel event not knowing how to self-navigate, adjust the route on the fly, fix a flat tire, you may have a difficult day. Know how to take care of all that stuff before you go to your first gravel event. And if you're interested in finding out how to get trained up for that first gravel event, after next week's ride, we'll give you an overview of how anybody can go out and do an endurance gravel ride from a fitness perspective, how to get there, and how to keep ramping that up over time. Because you can't go from couch to a 200-mile gravel event in 3 weeks, a month, if you've never done anything like that in the past. If you're a super ultra endurance athlete that already knows what your body's capable of for how many hours at what pace, what heart rate, and you know how to take care of your nutrition, could you translate that to a bicycle? Probably. But if you're not already that ultimate endurance athlete, it takes time. It takes time. But not that much time. If you've got 3 months, you're not going to be a world-class endurance athlete, but you could do world-class level events with 3 months of training. $2:58.08, 30.5 miles. I'm not one of those anal retentive folks. I'm at the car. Good enough. And ride, yes. 30.5 miles, 10.3 miles per hour. Max speed of 39.4. I'm not sure about that. I don't remember going that fast. Total ride time 2:58.19.